Let me track one down here.
Okay.
I will do that. Just give me a second here. Forgot about that. Come on, computer.
I'm trying to think of a funny joke to share, but I can't even, I'm not funny, so I can't even think of a good joke to share, so sorry. Troy, you got anything, Ken?
No.
My son's like, he's good at those things. I don't know where he got it. He can pull a dad joke out of his hat.
Right? And I can't, I know nothing.
He
I
can
don't
tell
have
him to me and I can't remember him 5 minutes later.
I can share my number one dad joke. It's like gold for me, so I treat it sacredly. Are you guys ready?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Why do you never see elephants hiding in trees?
Because they have trunks, or what is it?
Because they're so good at it.
That's like ultimate dad joke. That's awesome.
They must be if you can't see them. Boy,
Oh, I remembered one. What do you call an ugly dinosaur? An Iosaurus.
Yeah.
I should put
See,
this all on the
that's all we
recording.
needed was a couple of those.
All right, everyone, we're streaming live.
Oh, sorry,
Streaming.
patrons.
Okay. Welcome to the Saratoga Springs Planning Commission meeting for August 27th, 2020. I have a brief statement I need to read before we begin the meeting. So go ahead and read that. Troy Cunningham, Planning Commission Chair, hereby determine.
sorry, it's taking me longer than I expected to do this here. All right.
I, Troy Cunningham, Planning Commission Chair, hereby determined that conducting the Planning Commission meeting at an anchor location presents a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the anchor location. The World Health Organization, the President of the United States, the Governor of Utah, and the County Health Department have all recognized a global pandemic exists related to the new strain of the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19. Due to the state of emergency caused by the global pandemic, I find that conducting a meeting at an anchor location under the current state of public health emergency constitutes a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the location. This written declaration expires 30 days from the date signed Troy Cunningham, Saratoga Springs Planning Commission Chair, dated August 17th, 2020. So I'll go ahead and lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks for finding the flag, Dave. Okay, so roll call. Looks like all the planning commissioners are in attendance this evening. We have no one that's
You're
not with
welcome.
us. So we have a quorum present. We'll go ahead and move on to the first item, the public hearing for the Northshore Neighborhood Plan major event located approximately 800 east to Saratoga Road and 700 north to Saratoga Road. Horton as the applicant. Who is presenting that this evening?
That will be me.
Okay, I'll turn the time
I'm
over
going to
to
go off video. I'm getting some disturbance. I don't know if it's my side or yours, but I'm going to go off video. Maybe that will help.
Okay.
All right, share screen. Okay, can everybody see the presentation page?
Yes.
I'm afraid I'm not able to
Okay.
see anything because my computer's
All
having
right, so we got two items tonight. the first item tonight, I'm filling in for Sarah. She had a previous engagement. Will be the North Shore Neighborhood Plan Major Amendment. This is done through D.R. Horton, and Chriselle Travis is present here at the meeting. You are making a recommendation onto the City Council. The location is north and west of the old Saratoga Road. And again, D.R. Horton with Chriselle Travis representing the applicant. So just go through the changes here. So you see the map on your left, Lot 3, which is outlined, it kind of has a light tan color. That contains two zones, the regional commercial zone as it runs along Saratoga Road, and the mixed residential zone, 13 acres and 9 acres respectively. The mixed area within Lot 3 is required to be marketed as commercial for 2 years, in which time they can, if they don't get commercial, they can come back and expand their plan. If you look at the proposed change, the configuration, you can see, if I can move my cursor here, the original plan right here has a chapel location that is being relocated over to this area. This park, this linear park you see here is being converted to more of a, really in my opinion, more usable, the reconfiguration of some of the parcels. The density doesn't change. They're still within the density amounts, the maximum density they have, but just to the nature of shifting the chapel site and the park, some lots get configured around to make that work. Again, here's the linear park, which is approved, which then goes to a more open, more active park. You see there on the right. There are some changes here as far as fencing goes. The city will be putting a chain link fence. There'll be some privacy fences located along Pony Express to provide some privacy for those units that back up to Pony Express. It'll also have, and that's what you see right here. This will be the privacy fence, excuse me, that goes along the private areas of those units. And correct me if I'm wrong, Chriselle. And then a 3-rail fence that will go, no, excuse me, the 3-rail goes along the private area. Am I getting this right, Chriselle?
So the 3-rail is the delineation of the property line between your 30-foot and my private area. And then the 6-foot will be on the back for the private area of the limited common. So the reason it says vary is because as you travel along Pony Express, they're different distances as you, because it's not totally straight. So that's where you see the dog and the walking is common and part of the project. And on the left-hand side of that 3-rail fence would be the Pony Express right of way.
Okay, so the dashed line would be where we're putting a 3-rail fence or chain link, and then the solid line would be the 6-foot privacy. And so the area that's in red are where the changes are taking place. And D.R. Horton will be responsible for putting chain link around this utility site.
No, the city would be responsible for that. We'll be doing it around the lift station where the highlighted yellow says chain link by developer.
Right,
And
yeah, you're doing this one right here. And the city is,
No, the city's doing that one. I'm doing the other. I'm doing the other.
chain link by city.
Yes. There's a second yellow highlight, right?
Chain link by development. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And that needs to be added as a condition for approval to make the correction.
Okay. So staff recommends approval with the findings and conditions. And then number 6 here, update the fencing plan as indicated in this presentation, which Chriselle just mentioned. And then of course you have the option to continue or forward a negative recommendation onto the city council. Any questions?
I have 2 questions, if I may.
Before we do that, 1 second.
Oh.
Phil, do you have anything to add to the presentation?
No, again, as David pointed out, we've just rearranged and reconfigured the location of the church in the commercial area for development contracts and quite frankly, we had kind of an isolated pod back there in the back with the church and everything. This feels like a much better layout. Like he mentioned, the densities have not changed. So I think he did an excellent job. Thanks.
All right, the next thing is this is a public hearing. So Director Stroud, did you receive any comments from the public that we need to be aware of?
We have not received any comments.
Okay. And then I'm guessing there's no one, is there anyone from the public in attendance in the meeting this evening that would like to make a comment?
Let's see, it looks like we don't have any.
Okay,
I'm
I will
scrolling
go ahead
down
and
to see.
turn this over to the Planning Commission for additional questions. It looks like Bryce McConkey had a question. So I'll let him go first.
I do apologize for my early entry, my mistake.
That's okay.
A couple of questions that are a little unclear to me, and also just curiosity. First and foremost is I'm curious as to why the applicant is or why chain link would be considered as opposed to something that might be more visibly pleasing.
Like me to take that, Chriselle?
Yes, please.
The city code around utility areas allows chain link when it's more than 200 feet away from existing residential. The city is looking at, and that used to be that was changed in our code, 2.5 years ago or so.
And in addition, so around that well,
The reason being is that this becomes a city facility.
oh, sorry.
Okay, I'm getting broken up again. I'm sorry for my connection here. The city will maintain it, and so when the time comes time to replace a fence, it becomes the city's responsibility. There's been instances in the past where we've had the aluminum wrought iron style fence that eventually those things actually deteriorate, and to replace those is probably 4 to 5 times more than a chain link fence. So the city's looking at it from then it could not be chain link. But since right now there's no existing residential, the black vinyl coated chain link can be used.
Okay, so this is a black vinyl coated. I must have missed that.
Yeah, it is back coated. And actually on Dave, if you can scroll to the fence page. I don't know if you heard me. On the well sites, there is an existing fence around well number 6, around well number 2, where he's clarified that is city done. So the city will do that fence, but at that we're separated by a rock wall and elevation, and so there will be a kind of a double situation right there where we'll have a white vinyl 6-foot privacy fence along there at the top of our rock wall, and you guys will have this chain link fence at the base of that wall so that it's protecting that facility.
Thank you. I do have some additional.
Go ahead.
I don't want to take all the questions. Would you like me to ask my questions
Yeah, go ahead.
now, or do we want to take turns? I was unclear as to why the change. I heard a little bit of of the explanation. I'm just curious as to why the change is being made. Yeah, excuse me, if I can add to that, one of the concerns that I had looking back at the intent of I have my notes here. Well, I guess what my concern is that it appears that we're diminishing some of the open space that is in the initial plan and in the new plan, and that would be my what my main question is there as well.
As far as the open space numbers go, we're still above the minimum that's required. Did my comment come through?
Not quite. Sorry.
As far as the open space goes, the open space numbers are still above them. There's a range, and Costello would probably have to tell you that, but we're still above the minimum.
Right. So we're required to have no less than 20%. And one of the changes that was made was just to reflect those changes in
That's
open.
required.
Oh, I'm talking over Dave.
I think that was a glitch.
All right, so we're required to have 20% through this zone.
Yeah, I
And-
think my comment.
Griselle, he's just got a delay, so you're not talking over him. It just comes in late.
Answer
Oh,
being
okay.
relayed to you.
Okay, so we are at 23.4% open space. So we still are in excess of what the minimum is required. And like Dave pointed out, we went from a linear park in people's backyard to a more consolidated space that's more usable by the community. So it is much more functional and available. It doesn't feel quite so shut off and private, so to speak. So, and the other reason for the change was in contracting for the purchase of the church, they weren't really happy with that location at the back and requested that maybe we look at a couple of other locations. And so this was the site that caused us the least damage, and it actually allowed us to get that open space park and takes advantage of the frontage that will become Pioneer Crossing for the commercial.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Ken, do you have any comments on this one?
Yes, it's actually, I have two questions about the traffic impact study, and I'm not sure if, I think this might be for the engineer, for Engineer Gordon. It says that, oh, sorry, my notes again. Okay, it says it mentions that Pioneer Crossing will be 6 lanes eventually. Do we know when UDOT is planning to do that? When it'll be 6 lanes?
We do not. There it's still in flux. So they know they need more east-west capacity, and how they're going to accomplish that is still up in the air. So if they made it sound certain in the traffic study, I think they might be a little bit ahead of UDOT on that. The thing we know for certain is much more additional capacity is needed, and how that will be accomplished through widening Pioneer or and a parallel facility like Pony, we don't know. They don't know.
Yeah, the traffic impact study recommended that it's 6 lanes, so I don't think they're, it was a recommendation, but that recommendation is, or carrying out that recommendation would be required in order for Saratoga Road and Pioneer Crossing intersection to operate at an acceptable LOS. So I guess until it does happen, perhaps once this development gets, is installed, then I guess we have to expect to have unacceptable LOS at certain times of the day until the widening. So just making sure, I guess we are all aware of that, but just making sure that that's not going to cause any issues for the development.
Well, I appreciate the developer's traffic engineer, expanding the scope as they did, but that statement's probably a little bit out of the scope of their study, because we wouldn't expect the developer to be making modifications on Pioneer. So it's refreshing that their scope is so large. Usually having to ask the transportation engineer to expand their scope. So I'm not going to complain.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I do see that as a recommendation. It wasn't a surprise because I think that we knew that it eventually would expand, but I was just more curious about whether about if it doesn't happen in the near future, then how will that impact the traffic, with the development of this with this application?
Yeah, hard to say because the entire complexion of the east-west arterials is in question right now. We don't know if Pioneer, there's a possibility that Pioneer could become a freeway.
Hmm.
And those questions are just still out there.
Okay. All right. And then also on the traffic study, it said that the Saratoga Springs Transportation Master Plan shows 2 collector roads that that MAG's travel demand model doesn't. And I was wondering, what does that mean? Is one just lagging the other, or is one is a dream and the other is real? Or I mean, can you explain the difference there?
So when he refers to Mountain Land Association of Governments travel demand model, that is a regional transportation model that when I say regional, I'm talking all of North Utah County and South Salt Lake County. And so yes, their model is lagging a little bit in that it doesn't have these master plan streets of ours in it. Will they make much difference in the regional travel demand model? No, because those local streets are really just connections between Pioneer and Pony.
Okay.
And the travel demand model is of more of a regional nature that would be looking more at, Pony and Pioneer and larger areas that tributary areas to them.
So then maybe the take home for me then is that the difference between our model with 2 collector roads and MAG's model with only 1, that really isn't going to be that real a difference as far as this development is concerned then.
No, it shows that we're ahead in our planning, and it's a micro versus a macro scale.
Okay.
So ours is on the micro scale, MAG's is a macro scale, and whether this street is in their model or not is not all that important.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And just to the applicant, I like the change. I like the how the park looks now a lot better. I didn't think it was that bad when it was linear, but now that you propose, or now that you present the new draft, it does look better, and I think it is more useful or more practical for folks to use. So I do like that.
Thank you.
And that's it for me, Commissioner Cunningham.
Okay.
I have a couple questions, if that's okay.
Commissioner Barton, go ahead.
Or just one, I guess. So, and this might be a city question as well, but when it comes to talks with Alpine School District, how does that go and how does that work? I know the last plot of land that they bought for an elementary school was pretty hard to find. So I just get a little nervous because we have a lot of kids out here and we're getting more and more, and especially the development of this size with the different types of housing. Of course, we'll get a lot more of the younger kids as well. So I'm just wondering when it comes to I don't know if it's already been a discussion with Alpine. Again, I don't know if this is a city question or for Chris L, but how's that come? Are we looking at that?
Before I'll jump in here, before we did all this, fairly remote Zoom meetings with COVID, we would meet with the school district quarterly, and we would go over all developments, the densities, the number of units. So the school district's fully aware of what's coming into the city. We also encourage the developers and the school district to approach each other should they need to track down a school site in this area. Chriselle would have to answer. I don't recall if Alpine was looking in here, then they backed out. I'm not sure, but the Alpine's ASD is very familiar with what's going on in the city. And so, we don't force them to leave property out for any school sites, but they're fully aware of what's going on.
Right. And we did approach Alpine School District with the portion of the land that was zoned for commercial prior to making the deal to make it commercial with the city. And at that point in time, that's when Alpine School District bought another piece of ground within your city, and they currently have no funds for acquisition. So we have a great working relationship, and we always approach the church and the city, I mean the school district, to make sure that they're aware of what we're doing.
Yeah, I had assumed that. I just wanted to make sure that I just like to hear what kind of conversation was that. So yeah, I'll yell at ASD then. I mean, come on, where's that money? No, just kidding. No, I get that. Yeah, they did just purchase property, and I know that funds are really tight right now because of everything. And so yeah, I appreciate that. That was my only question. So thank you. Oh, and by the way, it does look awesome. Like, this looks like a great development. So I'm excited for it to come here. It'll be awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Anderson, do you have anything you'd like to add? I guess not.
Thank you. Nope.
Okay. Commissioner Ryan, do you have anything like that with this?
No, Commissioner Kilgore kind of stole my thunder as the traffic guy, so he did a good job of looking at all of that. I think obviously it's not a poison pill for the development, but it's certainly disconcerting when you think of Pioneer Crossing and the backup that's there, and now we're throwing in 1,700 units that will be turning left into this development off of Pioneer Crossing. I just think we need to be aware of these type of things, understand, appropriately that we have the traffic studies, and they're not lying in what they're saying is going to happen for a level of service, I don't believe. And so it's just something to think about. Again, I don't think it does any damage to what's being proposed here. Obviously, I like the changes. I like that it's above the 20% threshold. I appreciate that very much on the part of the developer. I think that's great. But yeah, all my thunder was stolen by Commissioner Kilgore. So I'm glad he caught those things, because I had the same questions, and now he's totally wrecked my reputation. So
Give and take, give and take.
I should ask him if they agree to comply with all the findings and conditions in the report. I think we forgot that this week.
This is legislative as well, so that's why I didn't ask.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so Commissioner Wagstaff.
Nope, I don't have anything. Thanks.
Okay, so the only thing I was going to say is I like the reconfiguration. I like the more park space. I'm glad that was done, and I will go ahead and open up to for a motion.
I move that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation for approval to the City Council for the North Shore Neighborhood Plan Amendment with the findings and conditions in the staff packet, as well as adding the condition to properly delineate which fencing will be installed by the city and which by the applicant.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Kilgore. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Barton. Is there a question on the motion?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask the applicant, was the phrasing of that condition right? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that works. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so without any question on the motion, we'll go ahead and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. It looks like that passes unanimously. Before we go on to the next item, I want to check. I got a message from one of the planners that the applicant was not able, didn't get a Zoom invite, and so I was wondering. I can't tell.
I'm in actually.
You made it in?
Yes, I don't have video, but I've got audio. Sorry.
That's okay. But you can see what we're doing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and proceed on to item number 4. This is a business item, preliminary plat and commercial site plan for Riverview Plaza and townhomes located approximately west of Redwood Road along Riverside Drive. Actually, that should be east of Redwood Road along Riverside Drive, south of townhomes north of the Chew
That is
property.
correct, should be
Here.
east.
Jared Osmond as the applicant. So we'll turn the time over to Planning Director Stroud again for the presentation.
All right. All right, Planning Commission, this is a project, I don't know if you recall or if I even told you. Kimber, the former director, she helps us out periodically now. There's times where we have lots of applications, and this is actually one that Kimber's been working on. It's a preliminary plat and site plan. You are the land use authority on the site plan. You would then forward on a recommendation to the city council on the preliminary plat. And Jared Osmond is the applicant. We have the preliminary plat here. We have 7 footprint commercial lots. So basically what it means is, the footprints can be owned individually. Those things outside the building, parking, landscape will be owned collectively as an association. There's a residential development, which will be on the east side of the future Riverside Drive. Riverside is not going in at this time. With the commercial, it's not needed at this time. And just so you know, there are sensitive lands in the Jordan River Trail property. Those will be installed when the residential property comes in. If you recall, this was rezoned not too long ago at the request of Jared Osmond. So we have the commercial site plan, access point on Redwood Road. There will be a future connection then when Riverside Drive goes in. And then when Riverside Drive makes the connection to the north and the south, we'll have 2 access points here. So the property you see there, again, the 7 building pads, common parking, common landscaping areas. The trail along Redwood Road would go in along with this. Landscape plan you see here. Overall, it meets the minimum 20%, which is the requirement in a commercial zone. Here's the sample of the buildings. Now, if you've been over to the DI in, I guess is it American Fork, PG,
Yes.
wherever it is
American
over
Fork.
there, there's a development that just went in just to the west of there, which the applicant did as well. And that's these buildings you see here. It will be the same type of a building construction, very similar, if not the same, that he is using. And so you can see the representative elements there. Then, of course, the black and white 2-dimensional drawings you see there. Actually, when it first went up, I thought it was very good looking buildings that have gone in there. Now, as far as the recommended motion on the plat, we recommend approval with the findings and conditions. Nothing, really, out of the ordinary on those conditions there. A few items we've added under number 2. Now, the motion on the site plan does have quite a few conditions. I understand that may raise some eyebrows with some of the planning commission. Now, you are the approval authority. You have the right to approve, continue, or deny. Now, when I've looked through the conditions, I don't see much that's really pressing. If it suits you, you can approve. We recommend approval with the conditions. These are just things that we would have to check. And any of those conditions on the preliminary plat would have to be done before that goes to the city council. Again, the site plan stops with you. We can discuss these if anyone cares to discuss any of these conditions here. But as far as, my opinion, when I look at it, our staff is obviously very competent to make sure these get addressed. Should you decide to approve with the conditions there, but again, it is your call as the land use authority on this site plan. And of course, again, scrolling through, the conditions we have here. And of course, you have the option to continue or deny if you feel it does not meet the ordinance.
Okay, the applicant is present, I think.
Yes.
Would you like to state your name and add anything to the presentation?
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Jared Osmond. Very excited to develop here. Thrilled to be out there, as a matter of fact. We'll do a great product. My understanding from the engineers that are working on our product as well, that the items that are left, the conditions that need to be met, I understand we've got all of those addressed, and they're supposed to be turned in if they haven't been turned in already this week. So the list has been taken care of. We should have everything turned in at least by tomorrow, I would think. From my understanding, we've collected everything back from the, from the different parties, the different engineers involved. But yeah, very excited to be here, and we'll do a great job.
Okay. So this is a business item, so it's not a public hearing. So
Okay.
we'll go on to, we'll open this up to the Planning Commission. I'd like to let Commissioner Kilgore go first, if that would be okay for everyone else.
Okay, thank you for that. So okay, so first of all, this is a administrative action. So I'd like to ask the applicant, does the applicant agree to comply with all the conditions in the city staff packet for both the preliminary plat and for the site plan as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. And then what kind of tenants does the applicant expect for the commercial buildings? Any ideas yet? Or?
Absolutely. We've got about half of it signed already. So we've got, I can give you a little rundown really quickly. We've got Iceberg coming in, which is a lot of fun. We've got a sushi place called Tapa Sushi, one of my tenants in American Fork. We have Beanie's Cafe coming. We have a nail salon, kind of a higher end nail salon. They're going to do some, I'm not exactly sure what that means. I've seen the interior of their space. They do a great job. We've got a Mexican restaurant coming, sit down, which I know is desired. We've got in some of our office buildings behind the front line of the retail, we have a dentist, a physical therapist, and a psychologist coming. And so those are starting to fill up nicely. We've got another 3 or 4 now LOIs that we're working with tenants, really great people. We've got Orange Theory looking at it, fitness. We've got kind of a cell phone fix-it place. And we've got, let's see, a couple other places. A kolache place. I'm not even sure what a kolache is, but people tell me they're amazing. So I'll go check that out. But we've got some really great activity happening. I think it'll be a real benefit and a blessing to the neighborhoods around there, bringing more small business into town. And yeah, I'm just really excited about it. It's going to be great. And of course, we're working on the residential component of this, which will come later. But that's really right behind it. We're just finishing the plans as we speak. But yeah, very, very excited about it.
That sounds good. It's good to get that breadth as well as the depth of choices.
Yeah, it'll be really great.
That sounds good. I see on this graph, or I think it was similar to this one, for the parking. I see the loading and unloading parking and bicycle spaces designated, as well as the ADA ramps. But I did see where the ADA parking spaces near the buildings are going to be. Is that something? I wasn't sure where that was going to go. With
on one of the drafts that I have, I'm pretty sure I saw that. Of course, we would implement that. So I can't speak to that off the top of my head, but obviously we will make sure on final plat that we have those if that's not being shown here.
Okay. Okay, and then where do you expect the snow will be moved to? In like what kind of areas?
We were hoping just to push it over to Costco's parking lot.
Ramps, or they're gonna be in where the road junctions, where the drive-through junctions are. So I'm just wondering where you were anticipating snow removal would go, or where the snow would be piled up.
Right. Well, working on a deal right now to pick up a little extra ground that's pending, which would make our parking lot actually a lot bigger for some bigger tenants that I'm hoping to bring in. But currently working on what we've got. I have not consulted with the guy that does all of my snow removal. And so I would have to consult with him. And I would imagine because of the slope of the land that it would be pushed north and south and then brought to the east, where it'll be put into planter spaces to melt, or we would have to haul it off. That would be my assumption. I mean, I haven't had to deal with snow here yet, so I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Yeah, that would be one of the considerations. I was just thinking, because you got the trash enclosures, you've got the ADA ramps, and then you've got the planters and stuff. It's not really sure where the snow would go unless you take it all off site, which isn't usually in a larger area.
Well, typically what I've done with retail developments, it gets, these are early morning unless it's been snowing all day long. And then we would have to designate a spot for that. Usually the best spot for snow ends up being on top of the planter space. And so we'd have to carefully put it there. My snow guy has the ability to bring in a front end loader that would move that snow carefully onto the planter space for it to melt. To me, again, the most logical explanation would be to the east,
Okay.
eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the David, on that architecture image that you had, image 1, that on that architecture page, could you go to that picture again, please? Yeah, right there. On the top picture, is that mechanical equipment I see on the left?
It is. With these plans are for the American Fork project, where we did not have a screening requirement. If you look at our plans now, they have been updated to show the screen around that equipment.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that explanation.
Sure.
Okay. So since the applicant explained that you have updated these plans since since the city had, or the staff had given you some comments about the can complies. There are a lot of can complies in this. I feel comfortable that with the preliminary plat, that because they have to all the can complies have to be addressed before it goes before the city council, and that since you said that you have submitted them, then I feel comfortable with the preliminary plat. But with the site plan, with the planning commission being the approving authority, just like the city council is, and if the city council expects it all to be done, then I would also. And so I feel kind of uncomfortable with approving the site plan at this time until I see those changes, because we weren't given those changes yet. And so that's kind of one of my concerns. And I just wonder what the other commissioners also feel about that as well. And my comments are done at this point.
Thank you, Ken. Do we have it? Bryce, would you like to make any comments on this? McConkey, Bryce, sorry.
Guess I should turn my microphone on. I appreciate what was said by Commissioner Kilgore, and it raises a question that I have as well in regards to the parking. What was mentioned in the plans, it says retail and office space. I heard some mention of several restaurants. I'm curious as to that's a different occupant type, depending on what the occupant load is of the restaurant, and it raises some question and concern in my mind regarding parking also. In addition to that, the question about handicap parking, of course, requires also access aisles, and I'm curious to know how that's going to affect the number of parking spaces and what the requirement is on those. Is that too many questions at once?
No, and I'm happy to tackle that. Are you asking me specifically?
I'm asking whoever can answer the questions. My first and foremost, I'd love to hear some thoughts about the restaurants that were mentioned as opposed to retail and office.
Majority of the restaurants are drive-through, except for the sushi place. The Mexican place is still a drive-through. It's taking one of the drive-throughs, even though it has sit down. We did configure for a general retail, including those restaurant possibilities. We knew they would come. Orange Theory, if they do come, they'll be morning traffic and then be gone. By 5 o'clock. I think their last class is at 5. And then all the dinner traffic obviously would come after this. So they're a great tenant that kind of mixes that up. We have a coffee place, same thing. They're good in the morning. Then, they shut business down around 2 o'clock. And so I don't see a negative impact with the tenants that I've got there so far. Anyway, I have been watching that. We don't have anybody that would be a really high impact proceeding at this point, and I would watch that closely. I want it to work, obviously, because if my tenants aren't happy and people can't park, that doesn't make any sense. But we've tried to be, generous with the parking. We followed, the guidelines that have been given to us as well from engineering. I'm pretty sure, just to be honest, that Kimber and David have seen our layout with, as per the handicap parking spaces. I don't think that's an item that hasn't been reviewed. That's a big deal because we've addressed items as small as, bicycle parking and loading for trucks and that kind of thing. So I'm sure that for whatever reason you don't have it there, I don't know, but I know we've got that turned in. The items that we have, as far as a site plan approval, I would say we've really tackled, and we've had satisfactory comments come back as far as site plan from staff at this point and to this point. So I don't feel uncomfortable with where we're at, and I even with the the lanes for the ADA parking and and the striping that would have to happen, I have not heard any negative comments, not to this point. We've been doing this for months and months, so I certainly feel like we've done our due diligence and we've tried to be on top of whatever we've been asked, and I certainly feel like we've done what has been asked of us to this point.
Just to let you know, I've been texting Kimber here. She did receive the plans today. She just hasn't had time to review those. So the resubmittals have come in that would address these conditions.
Okay.
I appreciate your the comments that were made. I want to be clear that this is certainly not in any way concerns in negativity. This is an exciting development, like many in the city, and we're grateful to have any businesses come in that will foster some good positive growth and a great environment for the city. So we appreciate that. I feel like that would in order to feel, for me anyway, a level of confidence, I'd love to see that shown on the plans and have some input probably from city staff addressing the restaurant, the anticipated and maybe maximum occupant loads in there, and how we are avoiding the congestion. Just that makes sense.
Sure. I guess my only concern would be that we've tried to tackle this proactively, like I said, for several months now, even through the zone change for what we did to be able to allow both the residential portion and the commercial. We've also taken out the retail aspect by putting in that parking lot an set of office structures that is is a much different occupancy load, and the parking ratios are much different and a lot lighter, specifically to tackle that and address that. And so that when we did have a tenant show up, that I wouldn't be essentially locked, you know what I mean, to not be able to accommodate them. So I think that I have been proactive in that. And as I mentioned, and I realize COVID set us all back, and I've certainly been waiting for this meeting, anticipating this happening. I have turned in plans that have parking on it. I have turned in plans that show from the staff approved parking ratios. So I don't feel like I haven't stepped in and done what I've been asked to do. And here I am sitting here wondering why that's even a question, because I've given everything to you guys at this point. You should have everything on that. So I guess I'm confused. What? Help me understand.
Yeah, I mean, if I could jump in here, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Typically I don't like to send plans with a lot of conditions. Now, reviewing these conditions, a lot of them are the minor details. As far as the site plan goes, the buildings are going to be right where you see them, the landscaping, the parking. For the most part, nothing's going to change for what you see, and I understand you have some of those concerns. We've been charged by the mayor and the city council that commercial is paramount in the city. And so because we wanted to get this on this meeting with these conditions due to the fact that we did not have a September 10th planning commission meeting. So unless we can find everybody's schedule and schedule a special meeting, we're still looking 4 to 5 weeks to the next planning commission meeting. And again, because the commercial is paramount here, based on what the mayor's told us, we thought with these conditions, reviewing these conditions, a lot of these things are really, just finer detail things. You're still approving it as it has to meet the ordinance, just through these conditions that you see on the screen. And so that's why we were comfortable bringing this to you at this time. Again, it's not my preference. It's been done in the past, obviously, with other conditions and other projects. It's not new, but we thought because of the canceled meeting and the desire to get commercial going in the city, that we wanted to bring it to you now with these conditions.
Which I think is wonderful, and I'm not opposed to commercial coming in at all. As I said, I think what drove my concern was the mention of restaurants rather than the retail and office space that was shown.
Yeah, and you're in the building field, this, occupancies are different, building codes are different. That's not new. A lot of these will probably be, tenant finishes when they come in. We also have the provision in the code that, when a use comes in, a change of use, they got to come through us for a change of use permit to see if parking still works, that sort of thing. Of course, they would still need any kind of building code changes should they change the types of uses that are going in there.
Right. So do we anticipate the occupant loads on these being under 50 per tenant space?
Each space could be demised, smaller or bigger depending. And so, yes, I do anticipate it being under 50. I really do. In fact, that's what I'm dealing with in American Fork. I'm very familiar with the type of tenants that are coming in. A lot of them are following from American Fork, and we've had no parking problems. And we actually have a much, not much, but we have a lighter parking scenario there. And so I feel very confident, especially putting the office the way we have, that we have more than exceeded the expectations. And we have followed specifically to your code, to everything we've done. I've really tried to be proactive. You can imagine, it's a heavy burden to buy land and then sit on it and not do anything. So, I mean, I'm certainly in this to be a very proactive developer and do something really good here. I would not expect anything else. I mean, you guys have got to make the right decision, obviously. But I feel like I've been in lockstep, and I have not asked for anything that has not been in your code and in what's allowed in that zone. The type of tenants that are coming there, I think, fit perfectly. There will be a great mix. I don't think that it's overloaded with a heavy occupant load, because I know most of the tenants, because they're already my tenants in another space.
Sure.
Yeah.
My last question would be, what's the number of parking spaces that we currently have there? That's not considering the handicap and the access aisles.
I don't have that in front of me, unfortunately. David, do you have that by any chance?
I'd have to dig it up in the files here. Just texting back and forth with Kimber here. She has taken a cursory look, and I'll just read her direct quote. It says, landscaping, lighting, and architecture are better per the plans I saw on the call earlier. Quick skim pedestrian lighting fixed, landscaping and islands fixed, water conserving info provided, building lighting info provided. So the big things, if you call them big on the conditions, looks like they've been addressed.
David,
On the
did you mention eight?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Bryce.
I was going to say on the parking, we were very careful on that, just so you know. We came in, and again, we've had to section off, where we've got office and where we have retail, and we've had to section off and create. I know that we have exceeded what we were asked on parking. I can verify that, because that was one of my big asks, because, I was told that we could have made the buildings a little bigger, that we could have pushed for more square footage, but we would have lost some part. I prefer to have extra parking. So I know that we've been extremely proactive on that. Just so you know.
And I don't doubt that one bit. I want to be clear. This is not my questions certainly are not intended to inhibit, but to ensure that we're considering all things.
Sure.
If we're welcoming specific types of business into the city, there's a lot of different types of businesses that fall into that.
Sure.
And what we anticipate now may be fantastic. Any business that still meets that same quota, if you will, could increase the burden.
And just to let you know, Bryce, just before you came on board on the planning commission, we actually went through and did quite a few parking changes and made it less restrictive is not the term, but we combined some uses, made them a little more easier for public and developers to actually look at our code. Most parking for restaurants or retail is going to be 4 to 5 stalls per 1,000. That's pretty much going to cover probably 99% of the uses that will go in this location.
Fantastic. Is there a designation? Well, what I'm trying to ask is the restaurants that we're anticipating, we're allowing in there, do they fall under the retail in the city code?
No, the restaurant is its own category. We simplified the restaurants. We had 3 restaurant designations. Now we only have 2, and that's based on the size. So we have restaurant takeout, which is 5 stalls per 1,000, or restaurant, which would be a sit down, which is 1 per 100. Most of the other uses at the retail are going to be the 4 to 5 per 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it would be important to reflect that on the plan if we're anticipating restaurants. I think including that would avoid some conflict in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I know when these plans came through, they identified what were restaurants, and so that's how we calculated parking. I'm having trouble accessing the file through my connection here. Otherwise, I'd have it up for you right now.
What were you looking for, David?
Yes.
What were you looking for?
Well, the question on the parking, I'm trying to bring up the plans on my one screen here.
So under the analysis that Kimber did, it shows 7 per 1,000 for the retail area and 5 per 1,000 for the office. Is that
right? I remember that being the case.
Yeah, and that.
What is the
so they're a little above the minimum, so we're good on the parking.
So in restaurant, what's the city requirement on the restaurant parking per 1,000?
If it's a takeout restaurant, basically a takeout restaurant.
So for restaurant,
2,000 square feet, that would require where most of your services, people walking and driving, you don't have a lot of sit down. That's 5 stalls per 1,000 square feet. And then the restaurant, which would be anything beyond that, could be fast food, could be sit down. That is once larger, 5 per 1,000 for the small.
So I didn't quite get that. Sorry.
For the smaller, the takeout type restaurants, minimal indoor seating, you're looking at 5 stalls per 1,000 square feet. For any restaurant above that, you're looking at 10 stalls per 1,000 square feet.
Okay. So in my mind, if we are limiting it to the restaurants that allow the 5 per 1,000, to me, it sounds like it's the same as retail. And I think that there
it's close.
Would make no difference if we're going to allow the others, the typical sit down restaurants in there. I think it would be worth considering that.
Yeah, so far, just so you know, with all the restaurants that I have coming in there, they all have drive-throughs, so they're all considered takeout, except for the sushi place, and they're not a heavily trafficked place. If you've ever been to Tapas Sushi, and so we've got, and I remember now, and we pushed for 7 per 1,000, again, where we only needed 5. So you can see how we have extra parking already to kind of make up for, any potential problems. And so that's always been a thing for me. Parking's a big deal because if your tenants aren't getting people there and they can't sit down or they can't go through, everybody's going to be unhappy, then I lose tenants. So
Right.
again, I've been very proactive, trying very hard to make sure we're hitting everything and exceeding expectations.
Sounds good. I think I'd love to see that on the plan there.
Yeah, I believe it is on the plan. Actually, it's just not on the plan you're looking at. And the stuff we've turned in shows it shows parking ratios and it shows all of these details. I can tell you with clarity and that we have those things. So I'm sorry that you don't have it reflected on the plan you've got, but it will definitely be there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, so thank you, Commissioner McConkey. Do we have comments? Commissioner Barton, I'll give you a at bat here next.
No, that's great. I feel like Jared answered all my questions that I would have had, and same with Dave. All those got answered. Also, just a recommendation for the commission, if you guys are out and about, really go over by the DI and look at the area over there that they've already done. It looks amazing. It's a great addition that's coming to Saratoga. I'm really excited for it. And Jared, thank you for answering all our questions. I mean, that was
Thank you.
a concern we all had, but yeah, if you guys are out and about, definitely go by it because it's gonna look it's great. But that was
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, Commissioner Anderson, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I don't. I appreciate the conversation. I was noticing I was noticing that exit. So I'll be the traffic guy this time. It's off from the southeast entrance of Costco. Like it's not going to be a straight across, which is probably has its benefits. I guess my question is: are people going to be able to turn left out of here?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
So
please.
I've had several discussions with UDOT. Originally, then this thing has transformed over the months. We have dealt with that, and so UDOT is the one who directed us to this particular design. So this design is from them. What we have agreed on with them is it is a right in and right out, and with that comes they are putting. If you look to the south on Market Street, which is only a half a block down from me. And again, I'm trying to secure the land to the south of me so that I can connect a future development. But one thing at a time, right? So, but to the south where the turn lane is the turn lane that would go left or east on Market Street, they are going to put a U-turn signal for me so that people can stack rather than try to have people come into a full access point right there, which to be honest is dangerous with all the traffic that's coming there. So they've got, and I used to hate the idea, but now I actually like it because now people can come and very comfortably stack in a left turn, U-turn scenario on Market Street and turn around, come back up safely and come into the subdivision. So to me, I see what UDOT is saying. It makes sense. It's a much better thing. Eventually, when we've got Riverside Drive there, which is coming shortly, we'll have access again on Riverside. We'll also, if it works and I can secure the acreage to the south of me, I'll connect all of this to the light as well. But as it works now, that they are going to give us that light showing a U-turn signal, a dedicated U-turn for people to come into our subdivision.
That's helpful. That's helpful context. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Wagstaff, do you have any questions?
I don't really. I was just a little bit nervous at first with the 15 conditions in there, but it's all taken care of now, and he's got it all into the city. So, no, I don't really have anything.
Commissioner Ryan.
I appreciate the opportunity. I just want to say how proud I am of Commissioner Kilgore, Commissioner Anderson. Look at, asking these hard line traffic questions. I appreciate it. And I too just want to echo the sentiments. Not a preference, obviously, to have a lot of the can complies that we saw in here, conditions in here. I appreciate, though, Director Stroud from the start, speaking to the ability of both he and his staff to address those. And I have full faith and confidence that they'll be able to do that. So I don't have any additional comments.
Okay, so
Commissioner Cunningham, can I still, I'd like to make one more comment?
I do have one comment
Oh,
that no one else came up with, and that is on the trash enclosures. Yes,
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Commissioner Kilgore, did you have another comment?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, so on the trash enclosures, it says painted CMU block, but our code specifically says that it's supposed to match the materials of the buildings.
Yes, correct. And I don't know why
Is
it's
the building going to be painted CMU?
Well, no,
Okay.
no, there'll be painted elements on the, on the hardy board lap siding that we've got. If you've been to our subdivision in American Fork, it's a beautiful look. I was not planning on painting that CMU. I apologize. I did not see that. Sometimes engineers have a tendency to cut and paste. They will definitely match, and we'll make sure that correction happens.
Okay. The last thing I was going to say, so we have basically two motions on this. A motion to approve the preliminary plat to send, which then goes on to the city council for their approval, which I'm fine to do. I'm okay with doing that. The part that I have a little bit harder time with is the site plan, and I want to read something to the commissioners about that. The planning commission may table its decision or recommendation if it finds that the application materials are incomplete, or if more information, additional research is needed to determine if the requirements of the city or city code ordinances are met. So that's kind of what our job is here. So when whoever's going to make the motion on this, I want you to think about that. Are we meeting our responsibilities as a planning commission? Is this in a final enough form for us? Because as I understand it, if we okay the site plan, this does not come back to us. It's approved and it moves on.
I'd like to make a comment, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kilgore.
Yeah, so I understand with the everything the applicants and we are commercial friendly. Most plans just sail right through us. We make approvals, no issues. And it's great that Kimber has seen the revised plans. It's great that the city staff has seen the revised plans, but they're not the ones who approve it. We are. And so that's why, in spite of everything, even if the conditions are met, the plan that we have before us, I can't approve, because it's just, I mean, I understand that a lot of it is also residential, which, but it's part of the, it's all here, it's right, and all the, and a lot of the can complies actually affect the commercial areas. And usually when we ask, okay, for a site plan, how many parking spaces do we have? It's right there on the plan. So we can't even answer that question without having to go back and forth. So this is where I just feel like, unfortunately, at least as far as what we have before us, although I have complete confidence that it has been done and the staff is fine with it. But as far as what we were supposed to approve, this plan, I don't feel that it qualifies. Again, if city council will have to see a plan that the plan complies have all been complied to before they will approve it. We as the authority should expect the same. I don't see why we can go with a bunch of conditions or not met or can't complies while the council expects everything to be done when they're the approving authority. So that's just the issue, and it has nothing to do. I know that I believe the applicant has been proactive and has done everything and has provided more than asked, but unfortunately, this plan doesn't show that. So, or rather, not that it doesn't show that, but it just simply doesn't comply. It doesn't comply with the code.
Is it possible for me to make another comment, or am I? Yeah. I'm not sure where I'm at in the process.
Yeah, go ahead. You can make a comment. Yes.
And I appreciate that greatly, and I understand your position. I really do, and I am always one. I don't want to be the exception to the rule, but what I would like you to consider, I suppose at this time, the COVID-19 thing has shut businesses down left and right. It's delayed my meetings. I am millions of dollars in on this thing. It's not your problem, it's mine. But here it is in the middle of this pandemic, and I'm trying to bring business where business is shutting down. And I have been compliant. I have over complied. I have done more than I have been asked. And now you don't even have a meeting next month. You know that Kimber's got all the details. You've heard from the administration that I have more than all the parking that I need. And you're looking at buildings that are not going to move and access that's been approved by UDOT. You know exactly how many parking stalls. You know for fact that I'm going to have the required ADA parking stalls. You know what kind of businesses are going to go there. I've been totally forthright with you. And so I guess I'm coming to you at this point, understanding your position clearly and asking for just a little bit of mercy and a timeline that, you know, we're all just kind of going through this. There's a lot happening. And so, yes, the normal thing would be exactly what you've asked for. And had I known that, you know, we've got another meeting, but I've been delayed. This is not, it's been a big delay, one after another. Not your fault. It is the product of COVID-19. It is what it is. I'm not blaming anybody, but here I am needing to move forward to keep these tenants in tow. And I'm asking, am I really not compliant? Am I really not showing good faith here? So as you make your decisions tonight, I'll go with whatever you say. I'm asking for a little bit of lenience and a little bit of mercy to move forward, because I don't think you're going to send anything to city council that can't very easily be seen. And we could certainly have on your desk tomorrow morning a revision of whatever plat this is that you didn't have those numbers reflecting. And you know you have them because you've got staff online with you. And so I'll leave it at that, but just understand my position. And I hope there's a little bit of mercy with everything going on.
Okay. I had one other item. David, in the packet that we got, page 44 and 45, somehow on mine are the minutes. So when they do this packet to the city council, make sure those get removed. So it's just this item. It doesn't have the minutes in the middle. Does that make sense there? Can you hear me, David? I hope you can hear me. All right. So if we don't have anything, who was that, David?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes, that was David.
So pages 44 and 45 on the packet that I got are the minutes for this item mixed in the middle of it. Did anybody else get that in theirs?
Yeah, I did, but I thought
Okay.
it was fixed, and wasn't there another packet that
Yeah, I'm trying to go there right now.
she uploaded another packet. I thought that was
Okay.
it.
Then I must not have got the updated one. We don't have any additional comments from the commission. I will go ahead and entertain a motion on this item.
I move
Actually-
forward. I'll make the motion unless someone else wants to.
I just actually had another question or comment really quickly, given the discussion this evening and where commissioners may or may not stand with what's going on. A question for Director Stroud. How difficult is it, having received a lot of these can complies and conditions this evening, to schedule or is there precedent, I guess, or the difficulty in scheduling a meeting sooner rather than later to pull the planning commission back together? One, to address the concerns that have been expressed, and two, to recognize the position of the applicant in trying to move things forward.
That's going to entirely depend on the planning commission. You know, you obviously keep your, second and fourth Thursdays open. Other schedules, kids' activities, whatever, things like that could come into conflict trying to get at least a quorum. Now, I'm sure all seven would like to be there if you do that. I think you may run into difficulties trying to find a night where all of you can actually meet.
So I guess I'm asking because I'm trying to find the middle ground where we can help satisfy both parties' concerns. And for me, when I look at the conditions, I appreciate, and I think it's very well said by Commissioner Kogorka and our chair, in terms of us making sure that we do our job correctly. But when I look at many of the conditions, I don't know if I see, items that are of a huge substantive nature that are deal breakers. So that's where I actually have some comfort in allowing the staff to address that and handle it to be able to move the ball forward. So that's kind of where I fall down, but I want to be able to recognize both concerns and not delay further, understanding, that we need to do our job, but we can also try to accommodate where possible. And so I just wanted to, if there was background or history or precedent where we were able to get together sooner rather than later and satisfy the concerns, but also be able to move it forward. I just wondered if there's precedent.
Yeah, I think at this time you just, take a motion, see what happens. And if, worst cases, then you'd have to try and find another time where all 7 of you can meet for a special planning commission.
Can I make a motion? Following,
Go ahead, Commissioner Anderson.
I move to forward to the city council a positive recommendation regarding the Riverview Plaza preliminary plat located generally at Riverside Drive and Redwood Road along the Jordan River as outlined in Exhibit 1 with the findings and conditions in the staff report dated August 20, 2020. And I also move to approve the Riverview Plaza site plan located generally at Riverside Drive and Redwood Road along the Jordan River as outlined in Exhibit 1 with the findings and conditions in the staff report dated August 20th, 2020.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Who was on the second? Was that Wagstaff? Okay. So Commissioner Anderson with the motion, Commissioner Wagstaff with a second. Do we have a question on the motion?
Yeah, I would rather that the two applications be separated for the motion because
Okay.
I want to vote for one, but I don't want, I may not want to vote for the other. So
Okay, let me change it. Can I change it and just do the first motion of the?
Yes, we can amend the motion. Is the second okay with amending the motion to be for the positive recommendation for the plat only first, and then we'll do a motion for the
Yes.
Site plan second?
Yes.
Okay, that's amendable. All right, so the motion that we have in front of us is to pass a positive recommendation to the city council for the preliminary plat.
That's right.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, so that passes unanimously. So now I will entertain a motion for the
site plan.
Site plan. Sorry, I'm looking here to try and find it. All right.
Okay.
I'll make that. I move to approve the Riverview Plaza site plan located generally at Riverside Drive and Redwood Road along the Jordan River as outlined in Exhibit 1 with the findings and conditions in the staff report dated August 20th, 2020.
Second.
So who seconded that?
Anderson, yep.
Okay, so we got Commissioner Barton with the motion, Commissioner Anderson with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, so all those who said nay who are
Those take a roll call vote.
Yeah,
Commissioner.
roll call vote. So I'll try and do this alphabetically. So we'll go down through. So when we do the roll call vote, we just say the name and then yay or nay, correct, David?
Yes, just say, so for instance, if you're going alphabetical, Commissioner Anderson.
Okay, so we'll start with that. Commissioner Anderson, yay or nay?
Yay.
Commissioner Barton,
Yay.
Commissioner Kilgore,
Nay.
Commissioner McConkey,
Nay.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yay.
Commissioner Wagstaff,
Yay.
and then Commissioner Cunningham, nay. So I believe the yays had it, I think it was 4-3. Is that correct?
4-3. Correct.
Okay. All right, so that motion passes. Those who voted against the motion, you have the opportunity to make a statement. Commissioner Kilgore, Commissioner McConkey, would you like to make any statements?
Yeah, just same comments that I had made earlier. If the planning, if the city council as the approving authority can expect the application to look clean as far as code is concerned, then I think the planning commission has the same expectation, or should have the same expectation. I totally understand all the problems with COVID and everything, but by approving this, we've had over a month, close to 2 months of COVID impacted meetings. And yet the applications that we received were very clean as far as complies go. So I feel like we're sending the wrong message to future applicants that they can have mostly can complies and still get through, because if we allow one applicant to do that, then we should allow all applicants to do that. And if that's the point, then, or if that happens, then how do we become the approving authority? We expect somebody else to take care of those issues that we're supposed to be reviewing. So it's only got to do with the application, not with the applicant. But anyway, that's my comment.
Commissioner McConkey, would you like to make a comment?
I would, thank you. I really appreciate everything that's been said by everyone, and certainly we all have our right to feel how we feel, and I think that's what makes this so awesome. I do have concerns about precedents. I feel like it's important that we, as a planning commission, that we have and strive to stick to a standard, whatever the world circumstances are. I love mercy. I also feel like precedence is very much not only our friend, but also helps communicate what the needs are of the planning commission and the city. I feel that it's important that what we do approve is what's before us. I think more than anything, if we look at the intent behind this, is that the businesses that come into the complex, along with the customers and the patrons, all have a good and positive experience for the life of the development. And as we consider everything that falls under the umbrella of what we are approving from one extreme to the other, I feel like it's important to consider what realistically the challenges and the successes are being presented, and how we're going to be successful in meeting the intent of our whole city plan to create and maintain this positive and attractive feel here.
Thank you, Commissioner McConkey. I'm just going to say echo what Commissioner Kilgore, Commissioner McConkey say, and also reiterate that I would like to see clean stuff move forward, especially when we're the approving body. All right. Thanks for everyone's comments. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is the approval of the minutes for August 13th, 2020.
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
You too. Thanks.
Do we have any changes that we need to give on the minutes from August 13th? Okay, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
This Commissioner Ryan, I motion that we approve the minutes dated August 13th, 2020 as presented this evening.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Ryan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Kilgore. Any question on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, so we'll move on next to reports of action.
No
Stroud,
reports.
do you have any reports? Okay. Commissioner comments. Would anybody like to make any comments this evening?
Can I ask a question? This is just my own education.
Yes, Commissioner Anderson, you may ask a question.
So when we get conditions, let's say there wasn't 15 conditions like we had tonight. Let's say there was one condition, you know, and it's the electrical boxes can't be on the outside. They have to be on the inside. Would that have changed people's feelings if everything else but that was reflected?
So you're like asking everybody that question?
I guess so. I mean, so you say, you know, you're right. That one little condition of electrical boxes, that needs to be reflected inside. And until that's reflected inside, I cannot approve this. And I'd say, really? Come on. So you're right. If there's 15 instead of one, but I guess my question, and so I'm, this is for my education, but part of me, I look down that list, I hear what Commissioner, or Planning Director Stroud saying, and I think these are like, I don't know. I mean, how many times have we had things come through with conditions, and
Right.
so
the-
what, like that whole statement along with conditions, right? And those conditions are nominal. Then why do we even say it? Why do we even say that at all? If we're gonna toe the line and say I cannot approve what's not in front of me.
Because we are the approving authority for site plans. So
I get it.
If we're just recommending approval, then that's one set of circumstances. Also, one condition, it could be just that the condition could be you've got to follow what's in the engineering report.
Well, then let's make a rule. Let's make a rule so we just say if it's an approval type of situation, that we're not put in that we are not put in any kind of approval situation where conditions exist, period. And let's just make that real clear today, or like let's just take it out.
Well,
does that make sense? If I don't know, I just think why say it? Like, so when I make a motion, I'm saying, yeah, you're right. The electrical boxes need to be on the inside. Great. He shows them here on the exterior. It needs to be on the interior. Great. If Stroud says he's going to comply, or if they say, yep, we will comply to those conditions. I mean, you asked, I don't know.
Right. So that's why I could approve the preliminary. I'm okay with the preliminary plat because guarantees or something like guarantees were made by the planning staff and by the applicant that by the time it gets to the city council, those things will be fixed. So therefore, I'm okay. I could recommend approval. But if we're the approving authority, then I have to take the word of somebody else. Then why don't they become the approving authority? The planning staff is the approving authority for a lot of things, but there are certain things that they reserve just for us.
Right.
That's where I have an issue.
So then let's make it a rule that don't bring us and approve something we have to approve with conditions. And let's just.
Well, we'd like to say that. We'd like to, but.
Well, that's also why we have a commission of 7 people. I mean,
that's where the mercy
it could have easily. Right. It could have easily it went 3 to 4 for the approval. It could have gone 4-3 for the disapproval.
Right. I understand the principle in which you approve and disapprove.
Let's just, before this, I don't want it to get out of hand. Yeah. And I said this before, it's not typical where we bring all these conditions. I think there's some unique circumstances in the fact that we had a canceled meeting. Whenever you get a site plan, there are always conditions. A lot of them are just standard conditions. They don't specifically deal with, like for instance, the electrical boxes or whatever it may be. I get that. We just felt that due to things that are going on and schedules that, from day one when I came to the city here and I saw past projects that came through with lots of conditions, I was never a fan of that. I'm still not. I did agree to have this go forward. Just because of the circumstances we're in right now. It's not ever going to be habitual that they will be like this.
Well, I want to honor precedents too, right? So my making this motion to approve, I do think precedence is super important. And so I guess that was my question is, at what point, like if it was electrical boxes, do we still say in the name of precedence, like we push back? I want to be united here is what I'm trying to say. And we don't have to be united. That's not what this is all about, is all groupthink. I get that.
Remember the complaints. Remember some of the complaints we got about like Vasa with the parking. We thought we did everything, and now the parking is just really horrific there. And so thinking things like that, if on the application, we can't even just see the chart that says, okay, this is how many parking on it. That just gives me concern because we've had problems like that before in the city. And I don't want to be, I don't want some residents saying, well, I mean, they can, but I don't want a resident saying, oh, if the city, if they blame the city council or they blame us, because it may be just a minor thing, but I want my conscience to be clear that we only approved, something so that if it still screws up, it could still screw up. It could still be another Vasa, but at least my conscience is clear. That's the only thing I could say. And there's 7 of us, so we all have different, we all have different things.
I want to
Well,
say,
then I
I'm
agree
glad
with
Bryce-
Bryce on that, though. He's saying then let's not have them at all. Like if it's, that makes sense,
Because
right? If we don't
mercy
want to ever
element-
approve anything, then why even bring it here?
Because there is a mercy element. There are circumstances that we have to deal with. There just are. But the thing is, look at Chris L was there, and North Shore, they are really good at making sure that they comply. So when a guy says, I've been working on this for months, and now all of a sudden it's our problem that there's all these can't complies. Everyone's been dealing with COVID for now almost a year now, and I just don't see that that's our problem. Crizel, the Horton, all their plans always come almost completely with complies, regardless of what issues they have, regardless of all the dirt they have to bring in, all that kind of stuff, they still have mostly complies. So I really, and again, that's great. He worked hard and the city staff got to see it, but we didn't.
So when you say mostly complied, then that brings up Bryce's point again, right? Are we going to have, is mostly complied 15 or is mostly complied 2 or is it 1?
It depends
That's
on
the thing.
when
You mind if I make a comment here?
Let's not get too,
Can I
I
say
think
something that may or may not be helpful?
go ahead,
I
Commissioner.
just say,
Gordon.
let's just, everyone has opinions, I don't want to get this, carried away. We are broadcasting public who's ever watching this. So probably not a place to air, things like this. Again, it's not habitual to do something like this. I just thought there are unique circumstances. And again, as 7 of you, it goes with what the majority says. And in this particular case, the majority said we'll approve. And so that's what we'll go with. I just say, let's, Mr. Chair, let's just move on. And
Okay, I agree. Because I'm the chair, I'm going to make the last statement on this. I actually feel good about this, even though it didn't go my way. I still think we're a good group, and it's good to have a disagreement. But we are going to move on now to the
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Sorry, legal counsel, Ms. Barker.
Yes.
You guys have had a really great discussion. Nobody is wrong here. It's a level of comfort, and you as a planning commission get to make that decision as you vote, and you did that tonight as a planning commission. Now the plans, the site plans, they do need to be a complete application. If you feel that it was not a complete application, you can vote no and have them bring it back. You have that ability, as a group, right? I think you guys exercised your authority tonight as a group, and it is difficult. And yes, sometimes there will be plans that come forward with situations like this, and that's where you as a group have to not come together where you all agree, but ultimately there's a vote. And you get to decide if it's a complete application, something that you want to vote on and move forward with or not. So I want to commend you all tonight for your difficult discussion and this ongoing discussion that you're having now.
Thanks for that. And I do feel good about it, even though things didn't go the way I felt it should. And I think we're still a body that can work together. So let's move forward and go to the director's report.
No report tonight, other than we now, as you know, have Costco up and running. Hopefully you've all gone and spent your paycheck there.
4 times over, but whatever.
Well, and I know I was in there the other day and noticed that the food court is actually open to eat there.
Yeah.
The one where I live is not. It's still closed inside. So, Saratoga's pushing forward.
Hey, I think it's great we have Bryce with us. I think he's a nice addition, and he's got a great name, and his looks prove it too, right? So.
Yeah, I was thinking the same about you. If you don't mind me just sharing some self-guidance here, Commissioner Cunningham.
Okay, I'll indulge you for a second. Not
if
too long.
You'll allow me. I deal with a lot of controversial issues, And one of my guiding principles, if you will, and because we certainly can't have a very cut and dry, easy process. And there's a reason why we have 7 of us. Something I use for myself is if it's a word of mouth agreement, I've learned that it may or may not happen. And if it's something that I feel is not a huge deal if it doesn't happen, then I don't sweat it too much, even if it, if it's something that I feel, of course, the reputation of the individual or so forth, if I feel it's significant to me, then that certainly guides me. But I think this is just a fantastic experience here. And I'm a huge believer in having different viewpoints and different opinions. I think it's great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Do we have a need to go into a closed session tonight?
We do not.
All right. In that case, we're going to have this meeting adjourned until when's the next one?
That will be
I believe
September
October
24.
22nd.
Oh, not until October? Whoa.
No,
Oh, no.
September 24.
September
September
24th. Sorry.
Okay, great. All right. Well, we'll see you guys September 24th. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Ken, I miss sitting by you.
Thank you.
I miss sitting by you, Ken.
Yeah. Hey,
I know, I do miss me with being.
I miss our sidebar
By the
conversation.
way, these kinds of long discussions